everyone, and welcome back to my channel. It is Binky. Yes, so I am on to my second palette. I have been using it for the last week. I feel like that is good enough to decide what to do with this. This is the color Raine Lovelies palette, and there are count them, six shades in here. And there are basically 3 mattes and 3 shimmer shades, and here they are. What I will say is at this time of year, I don't know when I'm going to get this up, probably in July, and it is about, mid-July right now. This is very patriotic. It is perfect for Independence Day. Yes, you got the red, white, and blue. But what I find confusing about this is that red, white, and blue don't necessarily always work for the most cohesive palette or eye look. So I found that to be a little bit interesting. That's what I will say. When you first open this palette, you may be going, whoa. And that's kind of where I was. Again, this was given to me by a friend. She did not use it, and so she gave it to me. And that's one of the first things that I kind of noticed was that the 4 colors here are extremely cohesive, but then you have this gray and this blue, and it is a little bit confusing. Maybe I'm the only one, but I can definitely see these 4 colors working together, but these 2, you can definitely use these 2 together with the white, and then these 3 together with the white. The white just works with everything and create a look. You can even use this with these guys, but I just find it a little bit confused. But if you're looking for a cool tone palette and you don't have anything like this, you could pick it up. And there you go, you have them all here. But I would venture to say that the bottom row, almost everybody has. Everybody has these colors somewhere, and I bet you do as well, so that may be a pass. Now, this top row is a little bit more unique, but it may be a little bit harder of a sell. And the reason why is because how often are you gonna use blue or red eyeshadow? Probably not that often, because what I find with people is people love the colorful palettes, but you can only really use them for special occasions, like if you're going out at night, or maybe costuming, or you want to do photographs with that are a little bit more edgy. Then those are the colors that you may gravitate towards. That's like, oh, I want to do an Instagram moment. Well, those are the colors you're going to go to. And it's not that they can't be worked, because I actually created this look using this palette, and I think most people are intimidated by red, but what I did want to show is that you can see that red can most definitely be used. I mean, I'm looking right at it here. It's working. So you can definitely use it. You just have to go in with a light hand, and blending is going to be your friend. Also, another way to kind of mute something like that is to use I use the lighter pinks, but also the white to kind of diffuse it and brighten it up a little bit, so it just wasn't red on red on red. So I think that is the best way to use this. That's also a good way to use something like blue. I found using this blue, just using it in the corner, worked really well. You use it in the corner and then kind of blend it out, and that's all you need. Unless you're really big into bold blue eye looks, which I am not, that may be the way to use it, or use it underneath your lower lash line to add a pop of blue. And I feel that makes something like blue a little bit more wearable. Now, in case you missed it, I already do have a video of how I created this look, and it shows it step by step. There isn't a lot of talking in it until the end, so if you already saw it, you'll see that it's more of a demo telling you what products to use, and then there's a split in the video that talks more about the inspiration of it and why I chose it. So I hope you enjoyed that. It's something new that I'm doing to inspire me more to start using the things that I have. And the best thing about the look videos is that you probably have something like this, and if you don't, you can buy the individual eyeshadow from another company that you like or trust, because Colored Raine tends to change their colors a lot, so they may not have a bright red right now, but you can find one somewhere else and then keep it in your collection without having to buy the whole palette. So let's talk about the actual palette. I used it for a week, and I have used Colored Raine before. Actually, their Queen of Hearts palette is one of the best palettes that has been put out in years. You've probably heard a lot about it, and it is worth all the hype. I will 100% say that that palette is absolutely worth what people talk about. It really is that good. So I was really excited to try these shadows, and I went for it. And this is how it's gonna go a little bit. What I will say is that the lower ones, the lower shadows here, actually, if you turn it up, these are the top ones, but I don't want to blind people. So these guys here tend to work really well. I really, really like these shadows. I feel like they performed quite well and matched up to Colored Raine's normal standards. So what I'll do is I'll quickly swatch those just so you can see them. I'll also do close-up swatches to the side, and then during the middle of the video you'll see them up close and personal. So this is what it looks like. And the white is actually really good. It's not showing up quite as well as I would like on here now, but you have to understand that part of it is that I am a very fair individual, but you can see they work really well. And they match each other quite well. And if you want, you can throw the red in there as well. Let's put it up here and look at that. So if you are looking for a bright red, it is more, hopefully it picks up right. It's a little bit more of a warmer red, but it works on me who has more of a cool tone, and I really love it. I think it's just a beautiful shimmer red. Very workable. I know I'm wiping my fingers in between. She's like, what is she doing? I'm wiping my fingers, keeping it clean. So it's a beautiful red. I absolutely love it. I think that these colors worked really well in this palette. You're not going to go wrong with these colors. They work really well. And they're beautiful. They're extremely cohesive. The four alone are extremely cohesive. Here lies the problem. You again have this blue and this gray, and I just do not feel that they really fit with the palette as far as the other colors that work really well. So I found them a little bit confused in this palette, and I did find it a little bit difficult to create looks. Like I said, you could use the gray and the blue and the white and create a really beautiful look. That's my cat freaking out in the background. She likes to play. So she likes to play all the time. So these three can definitely work together, and you could work the pinks with the gray, as I said earlier, and the white. But I just feel like this blue really doesn't fit in so well. Even with the gray, and I also find it to be very chalky almost. So when you rub your finger into it, it feels grainy. It just feels grainy. And the gray is softer, and you can see the pigment is there. I mean, it really is. Especially with that blue. It's gorgeous. But looking at this whole thing together, I just feel that this palette suffers a little bit from it not really being cohesive. Looking at this, you can see that these colors just don't really match with the whole look. The other thing is, and I do want to point this out, that the gray and the blue were very difficult to use. I wiped my fingers off, and you can still see the color is still bold on my fingers. Yeah, it's not wiping off easily. If you use soap and water, it will eventually come off, but I've been wiping this over and over, and it's pretty intense. Also, I don't know if you can tell, but it's really powdery on this blue here, and it looks more shimmery than it applies on the eye. So here you can see it's more of a shimmer, but on the arm it is definitely more of a matte. It is an intense color, very intense. If you know the Subculture palette, which I know you do, there's no way you could be interested in makeup unless you're very new to the game and not have heard about the Subculture palette, which caused a lot of problems. They were extremely powdery, extremely intensely pigmented, and swatched well, much like the blue. But because it was a pigment, when you would try to blend it out, it became almost a powdery mess, and it would go on for days and days and days and was very hard to control. That's what this blue is to me. It's basically Subculture's cousin, long lost cousin who showed up. Hey guys, want to hang out? No. So there's certain things I love about the Subculture palette, but it is a very difficult formula to work with. It is a palette that unless you're intermediate or above, you really shouldn't be touching it too much, because it is going to frustrate you and make you feel badly about yourself, going, I'll never be good at makeup. No, it's just the Subculture palette is really made for those who have a little bit better idea of technique and of putting color palettes together. It just was not very user friendly, and that's why you're seeing it on sale everywhere for $21. They're trying to get rid of it. It was originally supposed to be permanent, but because of the issues with it, it will not be, most likely soon. So, but I don't know that for sure. Don't quote me on that. That's just how I see it. Well, this has that same problem. This blue, I used it once and I never used it again. It was just way too difficult for me, and I frankly didn't much care for it because of how difficult it is. There's better blues out there that are going to work a lot better. Also, the gray, as you can even see here, I don't know if you can see, it's kind of patchy. It's so powdery that when you use it and spread it out, it's just extremely patchy. It has that same almost formula as the blue, except not as pigmented. So it's intense. It is just, they're both not very workable. They both, again, subculture syndrome, they get patchy when you use it too much, and the pigment is too intense, and it just doesn't cause a smooth, clean line. I did use them. I'll put a picture to the side of it together. This is really the only look that I used with the blue because it was just too difficult to work with, and frankly, I'm not a huge fan of blue eyeshadows, so it really didn't entice me all that much, so I just left it alone. After that, it's also extremely staining, so it's hard once you have it on the eye to work with it because it's going to stain that area and be very difficult to work with. I used it in conjunction with the gray and used it in the crease along with pink above it, and again, it did play better with the gray because they both are made with the same material, but it was difficult. It did not give me a look that I wanted. I left the house feeling a little bit insecure, looking at my eye look going, not your best, Binky. And nobody feels good about that. You're going through the day going, I kind of stink. I look like a crazy, you know? And I didn't like that feeling, and I knew it, and I didn't have time to change it, and I wanted to see how the formula works, so I stuck with it. But it wasn't a good feeling. Let me just put it that way. So I do feel that these two are problem children. Now the matte pink in here worked really well, actually. I feel that this is a really good crease color, and it played well with these colors, and I really liked it. I'm actually wearing it in my crease for this look right now, and I think it really helped diffuse the red when I used the red during the week. Now I didn't use the red like I did here too much because that's just not my preference, though I definitely think it works. I think it's a safe way to use red, and it's a fun way, and I would do this again. So that was a good thing about the palette, is it made me realize I can use red and it doesn't have to be this crazy eye look that's just like, whoa. You know, it's very wearable, and so I really love this red. I think it's a really great red. I think it's very wearable, very usable. I loved it. I absolutely loved it, and I would use it again. I'm really excited by this. So, yes, this color for mattes worked really well. I really loved it. I think it was very easy to work with. The white was really great at diffusing the more bold colors and making them more wearable and blurring the lines in the blending. This was a really nice pink, a little bit generic, but you all have it, but I think it's really nice. And it was great for a lid color or putting the white and then putting the pop in the corner and going for an easy look, which I did, and I'll put to the side as well. I hope I did. Sometimes I didn't take pictures, but a very popular way for me to use this during the week was to pop this on the lid and underneath the brow bone, and then put this in the crease, and then put this on the side. So put this on the outer corner, on the pop of the lid, just to add a little dimension without really doing too much outer V work. So it works really well. So you can even see that with these three colors together: crease color, brow bone, and lid, and then use this in the outer corner of the lid just to add a fun pop of color, but it wasn't too much. It wasn't too overwhelming. It was very natural, works perfectly during spring and summer, and then put on a nice shimmery pink, you know, lipstick or lip gloss, and it was a beautiful, cohesive look. Absolutely a winner. And what I love about it is then you can add that pop of red to go a little bit, you know, add a little bit more color, which I did. I wore some red this week, and so I put it in the corner of my lid just to go, hey, nod to my clothing, and it worked really well. I really liked it for that. So it was a winner as well, but these two I really just cannot suggest because they do not play well with others or themselves. So therefore I would not use either of these colors again because there are better blues out there. that are more manageable and easier to use. And this gray, there are better grays out there, but really, how many people use grays like that? And I'm a cool tone girl who loves the gray crease colors, but this, I used it for that, and I just don't find, even for me who loves gray colors, liking that. It's just too much, and it looked muddy and just not flattering. You know, it wasn't a color that you're like, yeah, let's use this gray and really create an eye look. I just feel like it was too pigmented, and it just isn't a flattering color that's gonna look good. I mean, it'll look fine on most, but it's just kind of muddled, and it's just not the most flattering gray out there. So I definitely would not recommend it. As far as the formula, what I will say is that these guys lasted really long. I love colored Raine, and I feel the quality of these are really good. They do tend to be a little bit on the drier side. I do find that most of these guys, except for the blue, which was really grainy, I feel like the rest of them are just really buttery and silky and smooth and just a wonderful consistency. A little bit powdery on the mattes, but I actually don't mind that. It's one of my, that's the way I like my formula, so I really enjoy it. They lasted really long. They stayed on my eye, I would say, for most of the day. I was surprised. I'd go in and check my makeup, and 6 hours later, they were still there. 8 hours later, they were still there. By the end of the day, these were still there. They were powdery and gorgeous, and I love them. And I have really oily eyes, and they survived my eyes. So that was a big thumbs up. I will say, though, that the white, sometimes I have this tendency with white or cream color eyeshadows that the oil will come through and change it a little bit to a more antique white. And that's just me, because I have really oily skin, and it comes through, and boy, you are going to see it. So yeah, I mean, it's not horrible, but it does change the color from that brighter white, cleaner white, to a more antique white. So I'm just used to that. So that's the one thing that I would say, as far as where maybe wasn't the greatest. But as far as these other colors, and even that one, it still looked powdery, the color just changed, they looked good. They looked almost exactly the same from when I left to when I got home. And some of these stayed on for 12 to 14 hours quite well. So yeah, as far as longevity and the quality of them, they're extremely great, and I can't say enough. The wear time's just fantastic. These guys are really easy to work with, very blendable for anyone. These two are a nightmare, and I'll just repeat it over and over. If I were gonna redo this palette, I would definitely keep these guys the same, but I find these colors to be very confused. So what I would have done is gone with a neutral brown color, just one brown color, just a matte brown color, neutral, and gotten rid of this gray, because nobody's wanting this gray. Nobody's wanting this gray. There's better grays out there, and I love grays, but this is not the gray. I do not understand this cement dark gray color. No. Get rid of that. It just does not belong here. And this blue, even if the formula was great, if the formula was great, it would have been a beautiful blue. The problem is the formula isn't great, and it does not match the rest of this. So this baby would have to go. And I think what I would end up doing is adding another shimmer, but I think it would have been almost like a taupey kind of shimmer, a taupey color that would blend in well with this, and even with this, almost like a taupey gold. Does that make sense? I'll show a picture to the side of what I would have done to give you a better idea, but I think that's what I would have gone with, and this would have been more cohesive, a brown, a taupey kind of goldy color that would mix in well with these on the outer, in the inner corner lid, and then mix with these brighter colors to just add this beautiful cohesive look. Or actually with this would probably go more in the inner, and that color go in the end, but you can mix and match, make it work, and I think it would have been more cohesive and more successful. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a full screen swatch for you so you can see these bad boys in action. I think it's okay. I think it's very much an okay palette. It's a little bit disappointing considering I really love colored Raine. I think the products are really great, but I feel that this may not be the best representation of the brand, in that there's better palettes out there with this color scheme. Like I said, this bottom row performs really well, but these colors aren't too unique. I guarantee you have at least 2 or 3 of these within your collection. I really do. So they're not overly unique. I think this red's really great, and I think the blue would have been great if it had been in a different palette and had a different formula. These two just do not fit cohesively with this, and I really don't understand when this was being created who exactly it was catering to or what kind of occasions it was catering to, because it just doesn't work as a cohesive palette. These two are just, the formula is not very good and they just don't fit in. So what I'm going to have to say is that though these other 4 performed really well, the rest of the palette is going to be a pass for me. Would I have paid for this if it wasn't given to me knowing the quality of these shadows? Probably not. It would be a big pass. So I'm going to have to say this is a no for me. If you have 4 shadows that work and 2 that don't, and even with the 4, you're not going to get too many different looks from it. You know, you're going to get pretty much the same looks over and over and over. So I'm just going to have to say that this is not a palette that I would reach for to create a look by itself. So I am definitely going to keep it. I'm going to keep it. I'm not going to declutter it, but I know, and some of you are going to go, what? I am most likely going to take it apart and keep certain things. So yeah, maybe I'll do that. Should I put that in here? The destruction of this palette, just so I can show what I am doing? I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do right now. So at the end of this video, if you see there's more time, I did it. If I didn't do it, then it'll just go straight to the ending. I'm still pondering it. But yeah, so this is the palette. And what I would do is I would keep these 4, and then honestly, these aren't even more salvaging to Frankenstein, because certain things I want to Frankenstein together, these aren't even it. The formula is just so not great that I don't really want to work with them again. I just find them too difficult. So most likely I would empty these and recycle the pans, and then put these in my colored, I actually have singles for Colored Raine, and I would put these in that collection and then use a bunch of the singles and create a full look. So that's my plan for this palette, is I'm going to take it apart because I really don't need this laying around. It's taking up space, it's small, but I really want to downsize. So destroy these 2, keep these 4, recycle everything else, because you can recycle everything. Look for areas or places in your area that recycle these. Paper can be recycled, metal can definitely be recycled in New York City. You just pop it into your glass and plastic bag. And mirrors, I'm still researching, but I guarantee there's somewhere that does recycle them. So I'm going to make sure I recycle that as well. So every last thing in here is going to be recycled. Because what I do want to say, I know getting a little bit preachy, but whatever. If everybody's throwing out stuff like I am with this, think about our landfills, think about the environment, recycle everything that you can. I'm going to have videos coming up on that, because I think it's really important that we all start kind of taking responsibility, because consumerism, even with beauty items, this stuff isn't going to break down, so we need to be a little bit responsible, and that's where we come in. So yeah, there you go. Yay. So yeah, that's my view on this palette, the Lovelies palette. Not fully a winner, but not completely a disappointment either. So yeah, so now on to yay, the next palette. Now I know normally I do the let's do the lottery, but I didn't this time because summer is very short, and so there's certain things that I've been dying to try. So I'm not going to do the let's choose a palette number right now. That's something I may do again, but it's going to be more fall winter, because I feel like a lot of those palettes tend to kind of, I don't know, it just works better. Summer palettes I don't get to use as much. A spoiler, I don't get to use as much, so I kind of want to pick certain ones and use it. So this one is by Juvia's Place. And I've had this for a while and I have not used it. I don't know why. I just was like, I have too many palettes. That's why. That's damn why, Binky. So now I am starting to pull things out and use them. And this is the next one I'm going to use, because I feel like this is the perfect sunny summer palette. So yes, there it is in all its glory. What I will say is that during testing these things, I probably will end up bringing in a neutral palette. And the reason is because I want to, this color is going to be too dark to use in my crease. It probably is going to be too dark underneath on the waterline, even the outer V, just because I am so fair that this is going to be, you know, it's going to not work for me. It's going to work lovely on other people out there, and I think it's great. This palette's not just about Binky, it's about everyone, and that's what I love about it, is this would work really well for me. And this is a color I wouldn't necessarily wear. I'm going to give it a try, but you can mix with some of these and create the palette that you're looking for. So I'm going to give this a shot. I'm a little intimidated, especially with a color like that and these guys. I'm a little intimidated by it, but I'm going to give it a shot. So that's what I'm going to be using. But I'm really excited to use this and see how it works, because I've heard really great things about the company. I bought a couple palettes, never used them. That's changing this time. So look for a review. This will be my number 3 palette that I am using out of the 130. This one's number 2. So wait for that. Let me know what you think. If you have the if you have that Lovelies palette, how did it work for you? I'm just wondering if maybe the batch, and I don't like blaming the batch, because I think a lot of the time, no, that really is the formula, but maybe other people had better luck with that gray blue. Let me know. I'm curious to hear what you have to think about it, but I do want to say Colored Raine, normally their products do not let me down, so that was a little bit disappointing, but I still have nothing but love for them. So we'll see what Juvia's palette does for me. So until next time, have a wonderful day, my friends. Bye.